Hi, I'm Mrs McTaggart. In this video we're going to look at how to convert fractions to percentages. Now this is a non-calculated exercise and it's aimed at the questions where you're asked to work out someone's test score and convert it to percentage, or compare two fractions and see which is bigger type thing, or even ordering fractions, decimals and percentages. So it's all non-calculator, but the same methods could be used on a calculator. Let's have a look. So here are four fractions. So I've got 11 out of 25. So if I was using a calculator, I would do the following. I would literally go to my calculator and I would type 11 divided by 25. So top divided by bottom, and I would times it by 100. That's how we're going to do it in a calculator. However, I don't need a calculator to do this because any percentage is out of 100. So your goal with these fractions, now I've specifically chosen ones that we can do without a calculator. There are random ones that we possibly can't, like 11 over 23, we could never possibly do without a calculator. So I've chosen ones specifically that we can do using equivalent fractions. So if I had 11 over 25, my goal is to turn that into something out of 100. Now to turn a 25 into 100, I need to multiply by 4. So I actually need to multiply top and bottom here by 4. So 11 times 4 is 44. And obviously 25 times 4 is 100. So that means that this one was equivalent to 44%. For the next one, it's a really easy one to make out of 100. All I need to do is times top and bottom by 10. So I end up with 70 out of 100. And 70 out of 100 is 70%. This one's a bit tricky. Two options here. I could multiply top and bottom by 5 because 5 times 20 is 100. So 5 times 12 is 60, giving 60%. Now there was another way for this one. I could have simplified first. 12 out of 20 is the same as 6 out of 10. And then I could easily turn that into a 60 out of 100, which is sometimes a bit easier than trying to multiply by 5, particularly if the numbers were a bit bigger, like 19 or something like that. Or 18. I wouldn't use 19. Right, let's look at my fourth one. So for my fourth one, it's out of 200, but you can make 200 out of 100. All you have to do is half the top number, and half of 150 is 75. So this one is 75%. Okay, so these only work if the bottom numbers are easy to turn into 100. So let's have a look at some of the other ones. These ones, there's two ways of doing them, remember. I could go to my calculator and type in 20 divided by 25 times 100. I could make them into multiples of 100, or sometimes I could simplify the fraction first. I'll stick with what I've been doing though, and on this one we're going to times by 4. So I get 80 over 100, which is 80%. But by doing the simplifying the fraction, it's only easy if you know your fractions. They both divide by 5, which would give you 4 out of 5. And then 4/5 is the equivalent. If you know that a fifth is 20%, or you could do 4/5 of 100, also gets you to 80% as well. But let's stick with what we've been doing. Try and make them out of 100. This is an easy one. We just need to add a 0. So 90 out of 100 is 90%. Here's another 200 one. So we're going to half it. So we're going to half top and bottom, which gives us 65 over 100, which is 65%. And then there's another over 20, so I'm going to multiply this one by 5, giving me 35 over 100, which is 35%. So some of them are pretty similar to the previous slide, but it's no harm to do loads of practice. These ones are trickier, however. So 15 cannot possibly turn into 100 in one full step, so I'm going to simplify the fraction here. Dividing both numbers by 5, I get down to 1 over 3. And then I'm hoping you recognise that a third is 33 1/3%. Alternatively, if you do a third of 100, you get 33.33333, and it just keeps going like that. So we're going to go to 2 decimal places and make that 33.33%. I would be honest, I prefer the 33 1/3 because that's a common percentage that you should hopefully know. 14 over 21 again. 21 I cannot make to 100, but I can simplify this fraction in the 7 times table, so I can divide both of them by 7, which gives me 2/3. And hopefully if you know 1/3, 2/3 is just double that. So 2/3 is 66 2/3. Where the issue comes in with this one, on a calculator, gives you 66.66666, and it keeps on going and eventually ends in a 7. So if I was doing this to 2 decimal places, it wouldn't be 66, and quite often I see that a lot in my pupils' work that they write 66.66, but it's not. If you're going to round for accuracy, that 6 there would turn the previous 6 into a 7, so it'd be 66.67, but again, I prefer you knowing that 2/3 is 66 and 2/3. Okay, this third one, again, I could just half them and get my 75%, or I could simplify the fraction. 50's jumping out at me, so that gives me 3/4, and 3/4 we should all know is 75%, should we not? And then this is my last one of this style. 40 will not easily go into 100, but you've got options. I could half it and make it over 20, and then multiply by 5. I could divide by 4, and then dividing by 4 would give me 3/10, which is just the same as 30 over 100, which is 30%. But as I said, we could have halved that and made it 6/20 multiplied by 5 and got to 30% as well. So where does this come in handy? Well, if you're a maths teacher, we love to make our homeworks out of 20 or 25 so that we can very quickly use this skill to get kids' percentage without having to go to a calculator. But we could have questions like this. So we've got 4 pupils and they're all arguing, saying they did better in their maths test than the other, but they're all did different maths tests out of different scores. So what we want to do is work out what everyone got as a percentage. So Luca, I am going to half Luca's to make it 8 out of 10, which I then know is basically 80 out of 100, so 80%. Cole, I am going to multiply by 5, because by 4, because 4 times 25 is 100. So 4 times 19 is, well, 4 20s are 80, take away 4 is 76. So Cole gets 76%. So right now Luca's in the lead. Ian's is easy. Ian would just have to double, because 50 doubled is 100. So Ian gets 66 out of 100. Unfortunately, Ian's not doing the best here. Jay was just the same as 3/4. 3/4 we know is 75%. And then Jacob has got a trickier one to do, but I can divide both of his by 3, which gives me 9 out of 10, which if I add a 0, we know is 90%. So who did best? Well, the person, I forgot to put an Ian score, was 66. So Jacob did best because he got 90. Similar to that, a quite often question we put into tests and things is this. This is actually from National 5 application style questions, where you're just asked to put in ascending order, which means going from small to big. If you ascend the stairs, you go up the way. Now there's options here. You can either turn them into percentages or you can turn them into decimals. I would never recommend turning into fractions. So you have a choice. I'm going to do them into percentages because that's what this video is about. So this one's okay, it's already 65%. 2/3 I've chatted about already. 2/3 is 66 and 2/3%. 0.7 times, that's the same as 0.70, so that's 70%. And 3/5, well, I could times by 20, or you work out 3/5 of 100, which is still the same as timesing by 20. So that gives me 60 over 100, so that's 60%. So which is the smallest here? Well, definitely that end one. So to put them in order, we go back to the original values. So 3/5 was the smallest. Then we had the 65%. And then they were pretty much in order after that. Then we had the 2/3. And finally we had the 0.7. So there is your answer for that one. So you should always go back and put them into order with the values you were given to start with. Do another wee one. So this one, I'm going to turn into percentages again, I think. So 1/8 is the same as 12.5%. If you're not sure what that is, well, that's just a half of a half of a half. So 50%, 25%, 12.5%. So if you're dividing by 2, then 2, then 2, you're dividing it into 8. 0.12 is 12%. 7 out of 50, double them, is 14 out of 100. And 14 out of 100 is just 14%. Then that one's already in a percentage. So which is the lowest here? The lowest was the 0.12, followed by the 1/8, then the 13%, and then the 7/50ths. So there you have it. That's us worked on turning fractions into percentages. I hope this has helped. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.